What's up, sisters and friends? Happy Monday, everybody. Y'all, I'm so excited to be back. This is our first Sisters and Friends episode back in the new year. And if you haven't noticed, I got some bangs. New year, new me. And my mom got bangs. So who are we?
We did it together.
Well, it's kind of funny.
We actually came to it differently.
We did come to it
we did it the
differently.
same day.
So mom literally was like, I'm going to get bangs. I'm like, don't get bangs.
Yeah.
That's just a bad call. Everybody,
You and Bella both were like, do not do it.
I feel like it's like every person knows this. It's like your moral, right? And what's it called? It's like my obligation as a friend when someone says get bangs to say don't do it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, normally it's a rash decision. Normally it's not a good decision. It's like, why did I do that? And as a friend,
And I will admit,
you should say no.
I will admit, whenever I first thought about getting bangs, I was like, should I just do it myself? Just cut it tonight? That's where people go really wrong.
That was the thing. You were just going to do it.
Yes.
Now, here's the other thing. I love people who have bangs. Lainey, one of my best friends, has bangs. I love her bangs. They look so good. Shelly Giglio has bangs.
Well, she doesn't anymore, does she?
She doesn't anymore, but she did for
and
a
they
long
were
time.
cute. Yeah.
People that I know and love their look have bangs. It's just one of those things where a lot of people that have bangs regret ever getting bangs and they cut themselves and it goes wrong. Rebecca, my sister, when she cut her bangs, that was bad.
That has been bad before. But
terrible.
she has cute bangs now.
Yeah, but when she did it herself.
No, that was bad.
Mainly, you just should never do it yourself.
Don't do it yourself.
So, anyways.
Well, let me say this. Last time I had bangs was 1990, and they were teased and hairspray.
Bangs can go a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
So mom tells me she wants to get bangs. I'm like, don't do it. You should not get bangs. This is just the New Year resolution talking. And then mom was like, no, I read this article about French girls' hairstyles and it was so cute.
Way down on my newsfeed.
Way down your newsfeed.
Somehow I got down to French girls' hairstyles.
So I'm like, okay, send me the article. So she tells me about the article. I go look up the article. Then I text her and I go, when are we doing it? I'm getting bangs too. So French girls majorly inspired this commitment.
Yeah.
So I got more of the curtain bang style. Mom got them a little shorter.
A little shorter. And yesterday I loved them. This morning I woke up and was like, oh no, what did I do? But now I think I like them again.
Well, you just went straight in. I was like, keep them long.
Yeah.
And then yesterday I was like, I love them. I was like, maybe I didn't get them short enough, but then I woke up and loved them. But you went shorter, and you have had the
I kept going
moment.
a little shorter, a little shorter. That's okay. I think
but
I'm
they
good.
look so cute. They look
and
good.
hair grows. Hey.
So we got bangs. That's one thing that's happened to us thus far in 2023. But you know what? It's been a good start to the year. We're both off social media right now. My team's helping post for some exciting things going on in the LO world and all the things. So if you see that on Instagram, but it's fun to get on the podcast and just kind of give y'all some life updates and different things. Today was a crazy start. Let me just tell y'all, I'm potty training right now. All right. So we got some big girl panties in the house.
Oh my goodness, it's so cute.
Oh my gosh, she's got her
so
Moana
cute.
panties that she calls Maui.
Yeah.
Maui.
And she's only 20 months,
20
right?
months. So
but she acts like a 2-year-old.
She really does.
She is very mature for her age.
Tell me TT. So I was like, hey, I think we're ready to start. And I was like, well, if she can be potty trained before the next baby, that would be awesome.
That would be good.
That would be really awesome because then we wouldn't have so many diapers and all the things. So,
although I do remember this being hard. So the scenario, you're in a grocery store with both kids.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, honey has to go TT. You got a cart full of groceries. You got 2 kids. Well, before she could just, TT. Now you have to go to the bathroom, get both of them out of the buggy, take them in. So there are some things that,
I have noticed today.
I'm not saying don't potty train.
I'm
just
potty
saying.
training, how much she TTs in the span of 20 minutes. Because, wow. Well, and I noticed today, too, because we were in the car and she goes, TT. And I was like, well, I had a diaper on her, but I was like, okay, this is going to be hard.
Yeah.
Even when we're driving, she's going to need to go all the time.
Or you're feeding the new baby. Yeah. And then all of a sudden she's like, TT. And you're like, do I put the baby down? Does she,
We're
So
we're
there
in
are
an interesting
some things.
phase. But she's
try it.
very bothered by her diapers. She wants to do it.
That's true.
So we started it. Well, this morning, I was like, I had so many goals for this morning. We were going to get up. We were going to go to the park. We're going to the library before work. I'm like, we're going to have a fun mommy, daddy, and honey day. Well, we wake up. First of all, she didn't sleep well last night. So I put her in the potty to go TT. she does it. I'm like, this is amazing.
What?
Well, side note, I turned on the water because you told me to turn on the water.
Yeah.
You know, maybe she'll hear
Just
the
gives
sound
you
of
a little, yeah.
She sees, I'm like, oh, you did it. I'm so proud of you. Good job. So I'm freaking out. And then she points and goes, bubbles. And I'm like, what? I turn around. The sink has overflowed. I'm talking a pipe busted. In the Chester drawer. It overflowed top. It overflowed bottom.
In the bathroom that we were in the other night?
I
noticed it wasn't draining right, but
I did it.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No, I put it on full blast. So I'm like, TT in the potty. Bubbles. What?
Oh, no.
Water everywhere. I have every towel going on that. So I take her at the potty, put her in her big girl panties. She's watching me clean up. And she goes, TT. And I look down. She pees all over the floor.
Oh, no.
After she just peed in the potty. Like, you just peed in the potty. Why are you peeing on the floor? So then that happens. So then I get all that figured out. I'm like, whew, okay. All right. It's okay. Maintain.
Made through.
Get the day back. Get the day back. Cabo runs in.
Oh, no.
And rubs her nasty booty all over our couch. And you can see poop on our couch.
Oh, that's the worst.
So then I'm like,
that's the worst.
Oh, no. Okay. That's too far. So then gather all that. Figure that out. Then once again, honey, TT again on the floor.
No.
Yes. So at this point, we have an overflow sink, poop on the couch, two TTs on the floor.
Yeah.
Then she would not get off my lap while I was doing my hair. I burnt my finger at the straightener.
Oh, no.
We missed the park.
Oh, no.
So we did make it to the library.
Okay, that's good.
She was the worst kid in the class. That's okay. At least we made it there. She never sat to read the book. She ran 6 laps around the chair, but that's okay.
That's all right.
And you know what's funny, though, is I get in my car. I turn on Lisa Harper's podcast, and it just happened to be this episode where she's talking about one of the worst mornings of her life. And it made me laugh so hard. She said that this is really sad, but she just recently, like I guess the day before, her grandma had passed away, and she was walking through that. Well, then around that same time, she had decided, because she had just bought a farm, and she has this beautiful hillside, and she decided that it would be really cute if she bought a bunch of miniature baby goats to just walk along the hill.
They are cute.
They are cute. Well, she has a lot of people pass by on the highway, so she's like, this would be so cute for my house, my farm, but I can see the baby goats. Buys all these miniature goats. Well, then this is the next day. She walks down to just check on her goat. She's having a bad day. She's sick. Grandma just died. And she sees one of her goats being still. So she walks up to her goat, and she's like, oh no, Sophie's not moving. And Sophie had passed away. And she was like, oh no. So then she's like, well, shoot. Well, she tells this in the podcast. She goes, normally I wear underwear, but today, she said, I don't know how I'll say this on a podcast, but I just did it. She said she picks up the goat. And she's like, I gotta go bury my goat. She's walking up the hill, and she said she noticed her pants are kind of falling down, but she didn't want to move the goat because it was kind of gross. And she's like, I don't want to have to pick up this goat again. So she's like, okay, I'm just gonna have to risk it. I'm just gonna have to keep walking with the goat. Well, she says this particular day, the highway was full. So there's people passing her by, just left and right. And all of a sudden, her pants fall down to her ankles. Her bare butt is showing to the whole highway while she's holding a dead goat. And she said, what has my life come to? And I laughed so hard, and I was like, man, that is bad. And I thought about this morning, and it put the day into like a new perspective. She took it straight into the Bible like she always does. And it was just so good. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to share my morning on this podcast, because if somebody can laugh about my morning who's having a bad day, maybe they can go ahead and laugh at their own, because sometimes you just need to stop. You need to laugh at what happened.
Be able to laugh at yourself. That's right.
Yes.
And raising a toddler is not for the faint of heart. And potty training is a whole other thing.
It's true.
There's a lot.
And having goats.
And having goats. We've had goats before,
too. And they're hard.
We still have goats.
There's some messy things in life, and it's okay if it gets a little messy. You gotta laugh at yourself.
That's right.
Well, today I'm gonna talk to Mom about things that she walked through in college, things that she learned through her college years. And we have a lot of college listeners, but if you're not a college listener, we're gonna talk about so much more. We're gonna talk about community, and also we're gonna talk about marriage, because college was a time for you that you were married, that you were getting community. So all kinds of different things we'll unpack in this conversation. But first off, you and dad, okay, so y'all were dating really young and y'all were thinking y'all were going to get married, but plot twist, right before y'all take that next step, y'all break up.
Yes.
And then right when you break up, you go to college. So you went into college literally, I mean, everybody has like the fear of the unknown when they step into college, but you just lost a relationship that you thought you were going to marry this guy and you moved to a new place and you went to college. So what was that like, just dealing with that much unknown of the future and the heartache all at one time and starting a new journey? Whether it is the top of the year or somewhere in the middle, it is never too late to begin creating healthy habits in your life. One thing my family loves is staying active, and listen, you know, we can get a little bit competitive, okay? Maybe a lot competitive. And I love a good game of tennis and shooting basketball or whatever it is, a group workout with a few friends to get the day going. However I can get my energy started in the morning naturally, I like to do it and I love staying active. Well, healthy habits are so great. And that's why we want you to try AG1 by Athletic Greens because it's awesome. Our family loves it. AG1 was designed with ease in mind so that you can live healthier and better without having to do a lot. Christian and I have never been the type to love taking a bunch of different supplements or vitamins or pills because it's just a lot to keep up with. But AG1 has been great for our family. And just one scoop with water or even a smoothie, you can get 75 vitamins and minerals and whole food source ingredients, some of the highest quality that can give you major benefits like gut and mood support, boosted energy, and even healthier looking skin, hair, and nails. So what's not to love about this is all in one hack to life to get all the nutritional bases for your everyday life covered. Very quickly, Christian noticed that it helped a lot with energy levels to get us through the days without feeling fatigued. And it's not like you're, drinking something that's going to make you crash later. It's something that's going to be an ongoing good thing for your body. Athletic Greens is even one step ahead of those of you who are worried about keeping up healthy habits while traveling, which is one of our favorite parts about this is they have travel packs, which makes it so easy to take it on the go. So hard to be healthy when you're traveling, but this is a great way to incorporate health on the road. Another thing that I love is vitamin D. I talk about it a lot because vitamin D has been a huge part to helping me just feel like the best version of myself. Athletic Greens actually has a super great product to maintain vitamin D levels with their vitamin D3 plus K2 liquid drops. Liquid drops are so easy. Again, no pills required. You can just drop a couple in a bottle of whatever you're drinking, or you can just take it straight up. You also get over 600 servings through those little drops. So you're basically not going to run out for a really, really, really long time. So it's a great purchase. If you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is giving a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/whoa. That's athleticgreens.com/whoa and check it out today.
So that was 32 years ago.
Wow.
That's crazy to even think about. So let me take myself back to 32 years ago. I don't know. But yeah, we started dating. I was 17 years old when Dad and I started dating, and it was just immediate. We had known each other since 3rd, 4th grade. So we had known each other. We grew up together. We're in youth group together. We were friends. So when we started dating in January, I was 17. It was everybody knew. We knew this is it. It wasn't going to take us long because we just had known each other for so long. We'd grown up together. And so we started talking marriage within a couple of months. Well, that summer we decided we want to get married. So we told my parents. My parents did not see it quite the way we saw it. They were a little bit more practical, had a little bit more years under their belt. And they were a little more practical and we're like, okay, well, how are you going to support yourself? I was 17. So it was a little bit crazy. So
and y'all didn't have any money. Y'all didn't have a place to live. Y'all didn't.
No.
All things
we had no plan.
Were not there.
We had no plan. We were living on love totally. And I had a plan to go to college. I had a scholarship to Harding University, which was where my parents had gone. I had always planned on going. And not only am I going to get married at 17, but I'm also not going to go to Harding. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to, it's just everything about my life was changing in an instant. And my parents were like, this is not a good idea. Yeah. And they said it in so many words, this is not a good idea. And looking back, of course, I see the wisdom in the things that they were saying, but at the time it was hard. my parents and I have been always like got along really well. Like I was not like a rebellious child. And so like this was hard. It was a lot of pressure that was, put on us. And we felt like we wanted to get married. They didn't think we should. And they, of course, wanted me to still go to college where I had the scholarship and they had gone. So in the final analysis, at the end of the summer, I said, I have to go to college. Like I want us to be together. I want us to get married, but I have to go. And Dad, as a young 18-year-old, was like, well, if you go, then we're breaking up because like,
dang.
Yeah, and so that was it. Like he broke up with me essentially because, we just were like, okay, that's it.
Dang.
We don't know what this looks like, but we're breaking up.
Wow.
So that was right before I went to college. And it was a lot of tears. I remember, I think I cried the whole drive to Arkansas. A friend of mine that had been like my best friend since we were little actually came to stay with me at college for a few days. She wasn't going to that college, but she came to stay with me for a few days to just kind of get me through it. And
that's so sweet. I
just poured out my heart to her and told me everything. And it was definitely a scary time. I was losing, like I didn't know what it was going to look like. And I had really, from a pretty early age, I mean, like I said, I loved Dad in fourth grade when I saw him across the camp playground, like I really, even though in high school, of course, we dated other people and things like that, but there was always kind of a coming back to him. And whenever we got together, it was like, hey, he's the one. This is who I'm supposed to marry. This is who I'm going to marry. So it was very traumatic.
It is traumatic. Well, I mean, and it's like you liked him for so long, and then right at the time where you can get married, you break up. And then you go off to college, and he in Arkansas, and he's here in Louisiana, and it doesn't seem like that's gonna work out. But I love that your friend came and stayed with you for a few nights, because I think in those times, like it's so important to bring community in, and those are the times that sometimes we push community out, because you don't want them to see you like that in that vulnerable state. You don't know what to say. They don't know how to help. And so just speak to that a little bit about what that looks like for your friend to come and how that helped you through those really, really hard days of transition.
That really was the best. I mean, and also starting college I was moving in with a roommate that I didn't know too. And so a huge transition. So to have a friend, someone that like really knows you, that you can just like cry to and say whatever, like be completely vulnerable to is so important in that phase. And, I was close to my parents and close to family, but there's things that you can't say to your, in that moment. Like you just need a friend, someone who will like stay up till 4 a.m. with you. That's awesome. So, I was so grateful that she did that for me. That's awesome. Being there for one another in those times is critical.
That's awesome. So how did y'all get back together? Because obviously 32 years later, you're married and you have 6 kids and a lot of things that y'all have done in your life. So how was the rekindling? When did that happen? What did that look like?
So obviously it did not end there. Yes. So I think it was really like 2 weeks later, Dad called me. This was back before cell phones. So he called my dorm room number and I answered.
Did you pick up?
And I think I did. And I answered and he was like, I think I've had a change of heart. Maybe it's not so bad. Maybe we can do long distance. I want to get back together. And honestly, at that point, I had been talking to my friend. Of course, I had built up some like reasons why we needed to break up too. So, but it was actually a really good recentering time for us as a couple, for me to say like, I love you and I want to be with you, but there are things that need to change in our relationship, and there were things that need to change, and we've grown and changed a ton since then, but it was a point. And so I do want to encourage people who have kind of been through a breakup in a relationship that maybe be the one that is going to be, or it's not always in the world to break up. That might be a time when you have to say like, okay, we want to be together, but how do we restructure that? Yeah. And so I actually said to him, I was like, I'm not sure. Wow. And I hung up, and then about an hour I called him back and said, okay, never mind.
Second thought. I just need you to feel the sting for it.
He actually needed it. He deserved that. He deserved a little bit of the sting. So let him sit in it for maybe an hour. But
Well,
And
it's
then,
also like the hardest thing whenever you tell your friend everything. When like
yes,
you break up and like you're so mad and you kind of just like bash that
throw them under the
and
bus.
throw them under the
Yes.
bus. You told everything bad about them.
Uh-huh.
And then when they want to get back together and you have to tell your friend like, we're getting back together and I love him so much.
Yeah.
And forget everything I said. But I mean, even like, we talk about this, like whenever I was dating Christian, like I had to know like the friends that I could come to who love Christian and me and were going to trust, like trusted me and him in our relationship and could hear hard things without going, oh, I hate him.
Yeah, right.
Because you need friends who can like trust you enough,
right,
and see him enough to know, you know, he is a good person. This is a bad moment. Yeah, this is something you need to fix, but it doesn't mean he's not the one for you.
Yeah,
and so I think
that's a good point for thing. Even like in marriage. You know, you have to be careful who you like share every bit of your relationship with. You know, I think it's so important to have that really close friend that you can, but. Like, I have a really close friend that I share everything with, but she loves Willie too, you know, and so it's like, make sure that they're godly and their advice is going to be something that is biblical and true. And then two, make sure that they, you know, have a love for your spouse as well. So they're not just like, you're going to tell them like one bad thing they did and they're going to be like, leave them, you know.
Yeah, that's so
I think that's a really good point, whether it's a dating relationship or a marriage relationship
That
too.
is so true. And it's so good to recenter. I mean, you have to do that in your marriage so many times too, where you come together and you're like, hey, we need to work on some things. And a lot of times that moment comes from hitting like a rock bottom moment.
Yeah.
I know we told this story. Oh, no, we wrote it in our new book. Me and Christian in our relationship book. It comes out later this year. So maybe I shouldn't spoil the story, but I'll tell you just the highlight version of it. Christian and I were walking through just a really hard time a couple months ago. And a lot of different things happened in our life to lead us to that time. You know, it's just chaotic. And I was like, okay, we need to get back on track. So I was like, why don't we start doing communion in our house? Like, I think it would be really good if we come over and like do communion, get juice, get bread, and like come together in Christ. Well, we had been like not bringing up a lot of the hard things we've been walking through. We just both been like not wanting to go there, but obviously unhappy and obviously like struggling. And so our first communion, we start taking communion. And I don't know how communion ended up being the explosion, but over communion, it just all came out. And I was like, you know, maybe that's something beautiful that we come to Jesus and it's like the honesty, it just like boiled over and it was a hard conversation. It was messy and it was not pretty, but it was what we needed to happen. So then we could be like, hey, this is what we're working on. This is what we're resetting. And we laugh because it was a communion that did it. But I mean, we had to come together and be honest about something. I think
that's so good because there's a scripture that actually says like before you take communion, go to if you have a problem with your brother, go to them. Yeah. And so it kind of like just happened. I think it's actually really good. Cool. Yeah. And
I don't even know if we drank the juice yet.
You had to just like come to your brother and figure some things out and be honest with each other. I think that's really great.
So it's good. It's always good to have those moments in your relationship where you say, okay, we need to work on some things. And y'all obviously did. And y'all had some hard times in there. And we'll talk about that in a second. But I also want to talk about, because you mentioned you had a roommate who you didn't know. And a lot of people are moving in to, you know, apartments with people they don't know, moving into college, and they don't know their roommate. And sometimes, you know, it clicks and it works, and sometimes it's hard. And I know you eventually became friends with your roommate, but she was a lot different than you. Yeah. And so what was that like, you know, just growing in a relationship with someone who was a lot different than you? Friends, I know a struggle for a lot of us is waking up and getting straight on our phone to check Instagram, text, and all the things. However, there is an app that can help you overcome that struggle and instead get into God's Word. It's called the Abide app, and it is super easy to use. I personally love it myself. Abide is the #1 Christian meditation app, and there are so many ways to pair this app with your day, whether that is the morning, first thing when you wake up, or during your work day, or maybe right before you go to bed. I tend to like it at that time as well. The app is is scripture-based and filled with audio meditations. Some are just 2 minutes long and some are a bit longer. So however much time you have in your day to take a mini pause and reflect on God's word, this app makes it so easy to do so. There are even bedtime stories that are so fun, so you can even play them for your kids, or hey, they're great for adults too, which is one of the features that we love. I love to introduce some Bible stories to Honey in new and different ways, so this is a great way to do it. And right now, for a limited time, our listeners will get 25% off a premium subscription when you text the promo code WHOA to 22433. So friends, don't wait. Join the millions of people using the app. There's even award-winning Grammy singers on the app, church leaders and Christians all across the nation. Download the Abide app today and find peace amidst the chaos. Right now, I have a special offer when you subscribe, 25% off your first year when you sign up for the premium subscription, but only if you use the promo code WHOA, that's WHOA, to 22433. Don't wait. Download Abide, Sleep, and Pray Meditation today and text the promo code WHOA to 22433 today to get 25% off.
I love that. I think that this experience, my experience in that, and even though like I got married in college, so I didn't have a lot of time in the dorm, but I'm glad I did have that one semester there, because I do think I learned a lot in that time period, and it helped me whenever, I remember when Will, he went to college and he had a roommate that he had planned on being with forever. And then all of a sudden he found out he was going to have a third guy in his room, and he called me like, what, like, I don't know this person. And because I had this experience, I was able to say like, hey, it might be somebody that you really learn from and grow from or whatever. And so don't take that as necessarily negative. So yeah, I just went to the, pick your roommate. Like you don't, I didn't know the person I was rooming with or anything. And
I didn't have
they just assigned.
Media.
No.
You didn't get to stalk.
No,
I didn't do like a pre-search.
No, I did not have any of that. It's just you walk in the room. So my roommate, like I said, ended up being a great friend, but she was so different. She was like very country, which I mean, people might say like, oh, you're very country. Obviously, I live in the South, but like country.
There's a difference.
There's a different country. Like her favorite, she loved, y'all, no one that watches this podcast is going to know who this is, but Barbara Mandrell, who was a country singer back in the like 80s. She like loved Barbara Mandrell. She had a poster of her in our dorm room. No. She was like obsessed, and she was just really different than me. But we ended up I just enjoyed her company, and we had fun together. Cool. Now we were never like always like the same, but it kind of worked out good, because whenever you have a roommate that is different, then you have different interests. I was an art education major, so I was in the art building or whatever, and I don't even remember what her major was now. But anyway, we I ended up loving her, and she was one of the bridesmaids in my wedding, cool. And we've not stayed super connected, but off and on, through the years. But yeah, I think that God, just trust that whoever God's going to put you with, that there's going to be people something that you can learn from them. Cool. And also like, it's such a short window of your life. I know some people get in there and they're like, this person does not connect with me. I don't, this is not working. I don't like it. But like, give it time. I always encourage all of you, give it a whole year. It just takes time to like connect with somebody, to understand somebody, learn who they are. And also with the school that you're going to or whatever, I think a lot of young people get in and out before they have time for like God to do the work on them during that moment. And so I encourage everybody to give it a full year when you go to college. For the college, the roommate, the major, whatever you're doing, just give it a year for God to do some work on you in your life. And then after that, if you're still like, okay, this isn't where I think I need to be, then you can make a move.
So many people tap out in the first semester. They hate it in the first semester. But a lot of the same people that I talked to in the first semester that hate it in the second semester, they're like, I love my school. I love it.
Absolutely.
And you find your groove. You find your things. Like someone I remember told me one time, they moved here and they were not here for a very long time. And they said, we're just struggling because we just want to go somewhere where we have roots. Yeah. I said, well, roots have to grow. Like,
that's so good.
And so if you're going to move somewhere else, that you've never lived before, then you're not going to have roots there until you grow the roots.
You got to stay somewhere.
You have to, roots to only grow when they grow in one place. When you plant. Listen, this is so funny. I've used this analogy before, but whenever I was little, I don't even know if you know this about me. When I was little, because I just did it by myself, but I would eat apples, you know, at the house, and I would always take my little seeds, and I would go outside, and I would plant my apple, and I'd water the seed, and then the next day I'd go back out and I'd forget where I planted the apple seed. So I'd cut another apple and I'd go put the seed and I'd water the seed. I can't even tell you how many apple seeds are in that ground and not one apple tree, but I never marked where I put the seeds. And so I would never water in the same place. I never took the time to actually grow the tree. And so I think about that a lot of times, that I was throwing seeds just in all these different places and I gave none of them time to nurture and grow. And so they didn't.
That's
and
really
I think
good.
a lot of us do that. It's like we are unwilling to stay in one place and water that ground and nurture that soil and then see what beauty grows from it. And because we get frustrated by the process, we just go to the next place and plant new seeds, and the next place and plant new seeds. And you're never going to get the tree unless you stay and you nourish that ground. And so I think about that sometimes. And I think sometimes we struggle with that because we just get so impatient with the process. But there's a process to relationship. There's a process to growing to love the place that you're at. There's a process to community. I love what you said though about your roommate, that y'all were never like.
Okay, first I need to say, "Whoa, that's good." Like I feel like I want to say, "Whoa, that's good" to that. I just think that's such a great analogy, and it's so true.
It's cool.
And so I love that.
Hey, we gotta hit those sisters and friends with the whoa, that's good every now and then. Thank you for that.
Very good.
You know, I was thinking about how you said you and your roommate never got like super, super close, but y'all were friends and close enough that she was in your wedding, but you weren't like best friends to do everything together.
Right.
I think a lot of times like we try to force relationships with people, you know, and we get so frustrated if it's not like your best friend.
Right.
Or we put this expectation that like every friendship has to be like your best friend.
Right.
And I've realized as I've gotten older and like out of, I never went to college, but out of that kind of environment, that not everybody's going to be your best friend. And but that doesn't mean that they're not a great friend.
Right.
That they're not going to be there for you and have fun and laugh with you and cry with you. But they don't have to be your very, very best friend. And some of your very, very best friends will continue to be the people that, you know, like Lainey, she doesn't live here anymore. She's still one of my best friends. Or some people that you just connect with that are new friends that you just grow to a deeper level. It just is natural. So I feel like we can just take the pressure off of like forcing that and like putting expectation on another person or your relationship with them, that it has to be something other than what it just naturally is.
That's really good. I read this like memoir of this like rock star. I don't even know. Somebody suggested on social media, and I ordered it on Amazon and read it. I was like,
read so many random things.
I read random things. And I was like, I don't even know who this guy is. I don't know why I'm reading this book, but it had some really great, I pulled so many good things out of it. But one of the things he was talking about, so he had been in like lots of bands since like the 80s to now or whatever. And he said in the beginning, he had this pressure that like a band has to be together forever. And he just went through a lot of like turmoil and trial because he was like trying to hold this band together when it just wasn't going to hold together. And then once he kind of released that and was able to say, okay, that band was great for this time. And now I need to move on to something else. And so he talked about how like the only two relationships that last forever, you know, is your relationship with God and your relationship in marriage. Like you're making an oath to someone in marriage, but all those other relationships are great and maybe they're for you for this time, but there's maybe a time when you need to release them and say like, okay, we're moving on. It doesn't mean that wasn't meaningful or great during that time, or it doesn't mean that they won't be your friends or other, but trying to force something that may or not be there. Sometimes, I think that was kind of what you're saying in that. It's like, you can have friendships and relationships, but also let people move on, let people change, let people grow, and don't hold that.
You have to have contentment in your heart to be able to do that. And contentment in knowing if this person is not my best friend, I am not lonely. You know, if this person does not become my best friend, that does not mean I'm unlovable. That does not mean does not mean there's something wrong with me. Like you have to you got to weed out those lies, those insecurities and say like, I'm content in who I am, in my relationship with Christ, in my relationship with my family, and the people in my life, whether that's 1, 2, 5 people, whoever it is, like I'm content with this. I don't need to strive to gain for this one person. Did you know that there are so many people right now across the world that do not have access to God's word? And it's not just because they haven't bought it, it's because they literally can't get it. And I know that is crazy to stop and think about, especially for us that can just order it on Amazon Prime. But I am so thankful that I do live in a place that I can do that I can have access to God's word. But my heart also breaks for those who can't, and I want to do something about it. And there actually is something that you and I can do to help those who are hungry for God's word but lack access. And that's why I'm excited to talk about one of our partners, Crew. Crew is one of the largest evangelical organizations with over 25,000 missionaries in almost every country. And they're on mission to give Bibles around the world to people in their own heart language and share the hope of Jesus. But here's where they need your help. For only $21 a month, you can provide 3 people with Bibles each and every month. When you sign up to provide 3 Bibles with a monthly gift of $21, as a thank you, Crew will provide meals to 5 hungry families through their humanitarian aid ministry, and you'll actually receive a copy of my devotional book, Live on Purpose, which, hey, why not do this? You're going to get a gift, but more than getting a gift, you're giving the best gift that you can give. You're giving life and hope and the hope of eternal life to people who don't have access to it. Some people are hungry for it and want it, and some people don't even know that they need it, but you can be the one that gives it. So text PURPOSE to 71326 to help today. Imagine just how much this gift can literally change not only someone's life, but generations to come's life because of the impact that their faith will make on everyone around them. So text PURPOSE to 71326. That's PURPOSE to 71326 to help now, or visit give.cru.org/purpose. Offer is available to U.S. residents only. Message and data rates may apply.
Back to the college years, that reminds me of kind of seeing y'all all kind of go through these years where relationships are changing so much. And it's always hard because like whenever you get into a relationship, then that other friend feels like, oh wait, our friendship has changed. And what does it look like? Or even a sibling relationship or whatever, like especially during the college years, relationships shift and change because you're dating somebody and you have to focus on that person because that's who potentially could be the person for the rest of your life. And so this friendship that was like you were spending every waking hour together, all of a sudden you're not. This person can feel lonely and left out. And so like I do remember kind of watching y'all navigate those shifts and change in relationships, particularly during those college years.
They are hard. But I think once again, like, you have to be content and confident in the relationship that you do have with your friend. I mean, Lainey and I talked about that so much during that time, like just being confident in what we do have. And just because we're spending less time doesn't mean we're not as good of friends. And
sometimes it is a matter of like opening up and saying, hey, I kind of felt left out.
And we had to do that.
Allowing the other person to say, hey, I get that. I'm sorry. How about we, go to brunch tomorrow? Or say like, I love you, and this has nothing to do with the fact that I love you, but I have to focus on this relationship right now. And so
it's the same for guys. Christian had the most trouble in his friendship when we were dating because we were long distance, and he literally traveled to Nashville every weekend to see me. So he was never there for his guy friend like hangs or football games as much as he used to be, or just the things with the guys. And the guys are like, it's changing your whole life, but he's like, I remember him telling them, this is a girl I'm gonna marry. Like I have to pursue her right now. Like this is the time of my life. It's so important, and it was super important. Especially for them, they felt like, well, you're gonna get married, so spend more time with us because you're gonna spend the rest of your life. He's like, no, we're preparing for the rest of our life. This
is the time when we're watering the apple seed.
Like we're not gonna get
go
there
back to where I planted that seed.
And he did such a great job with that. But it takes a lot of communication.
It does.
But I love what you said too. Just back to that, y'all, just even if they're not your best friend, they can still be a good friend.
Yeah.
And I think that it's still worth investing time in. It's still worth hanging out. And
Absolutely.
I think that like so many of us are like, well, if they're not my best friend, then whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, no, every friend matters.
Or you see somebody that's different than you and you just write them off. Feel like, okay, they're never going to be my friend. I don't like Barbara Mandrell, so that's not going to be, or whatever, That's just an analogy. I actually love Kenny Rogers, so it's kind of the same boat. But, if, they might just be this, you write somebody off as soon as, because they look different or they talk different or they like something different, where you might really be missing out on a friendship that you could have during that time. True. One thing I wanted to go back to, and this is not a college example, but Rebecca coming here. I mean, her first semester here was so hard. I can guarantee you, I need to ask her this, like, if there would have been an opportunity for her to just go home in December, would she have done it? She may have, because it was so hard. She did not speak English very well. She actually did not adjust to the time period. Like,
Ever.
It's like, she'd
be asleep at dinner.
She was up super late at night talking to all her people in Taiwan and then sleeping till late the next day when she had the chance. She'd be so tired in the mornings because she would be up all night because she was still trying to kind of hang on to both and didn't have relationships or friendships here yet. And that first semester at school, she had no friends. She felt like people were laughing at her because she couldn't understand them. They couldn't understand her. And it was so hard. And then I'll just remember that turn, like after Christmas and when the new year started, like midway through the second semester, she started making friends. People started coming over. She ended up having going to prom and having a great ending. And then that's when we're like, oh, well, do you want to come back next year? And she's like, yes, I do. Because she ended up loving it. But if she would have had the chance in that first,
she probably would have left.
Oh, I think she would have left.
I would have left. It was so hard. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that was really hard. And now here she is.
14 years,
probably
15 years later.
That. Yeah, I think it's definitely more than that because she came when she was 16 and she's 32 or 33 and married and has 2 kids and lives here. And so it takes time. It really does. I love that. I want to talk about going back to you and Dad. So y'all got back together and then it was a very short turnaround. So y'all got back together in like September. So 2 weeks after school started. Yeah. And then y'all got married in January. So by your second semester, you were married. Because didn't you get married and then you didn't go on honeymoon? 2 days later, you went to college. Yeah. And we got
married on a Saturday, January 11th. We drove to Arkansas on Sunday and he started college. It was his first time in college. It was my second semester on Monday.
Wow.
Yeah, we did that summer we went to Hawaii with my parents. As a honeymoon. Like that was like what we called our honeymoon because we didn't have a honeymoon, but we were like so young and in love. We didn't care. We were like, we're moving into our little bitty apartment that was literally like the size of this podcast space. It was so tiny, but we were just so excited and so in love. That's crazy. It didn't matter.
So, okay, 3 months go by, you get married. You still didn't really have a plan. You still were broke. And like when we say you were broke, I mean, y'all did not have money. You went to Hawaii with your parents because they were going to Hawaii.
That's right.
Like,
oh yeah. There was no opportunity.
Y'all even went to college because your parents helped you go to college. Yeah. I mean, it was not like y'all had money. Right. And when it came to y'all's marriage, y'all really did not have money. So give us just a picture into what that looked like because some of y'all's arguments at the time, I remember of just y'all not having any money were pretty funny. And just what did y'all eat? What were some of the meals that you were cooking?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So our budget was so tight. Like I was full-time in school. He was trying to go to school and work and support us too. And we actually worked at one of those call centers for a little while where you call and like ask for money, like I don't even know if that happens anymore, but like you'd be like, hey, try to ask for money for something. It was terrible. It was the worst job ever. But anyway, so we were so broke. We had a very tight budget. We never ate out. Like Little Caesars pizza where it was like you got, a lot of pizza for very little. That was it, we made like hot dogs. They would be like Monday would be like lunch would be like hot dogs with Hormel chili. Tuesday would be like fried frozen chicken.
That's
we were on the tightest budget. And we literally, I remember in the grocery store, we had like $5 left of our allotted, all our money was like in envelopes to say like, this is your grocery money for this week. We had like $5 left, and he wanted to buy a pack of baseball cards and I wanted to buy a magazine. And it was like a full out fight because it was like, who gets to spend this extra money that we have here? But, okay, this will tell you exactly how tight. So I'll never forget this. We had some friends that loaned us their washer and dryer because I don't know, I think they rented another apartment that had a washer dryer in there and we didn't have one. So they loaned us their washer and dryer. And so we wanted to like do something nice for them for letting us use their washer and dryer. So we took them out to Shoney's, which I'm saying all these references that your baby's not going to even know. No. But anyway, if anyone that's older, they'll remember Shoney's. So we took them to Shoney's, and I'll never forget, the bill comes back. And it was $40 for us 4 to eat at Shoney's. And I was like, oh my goodness. How? This is like.
Which is just $10 a person.
It's just $10 a person. But because we had like gone all out. We had like ordered dessert. We were like, we're splurging. We want to be generous and thank you. And then whenever
you're like,
we signed that check and it was $40, I was like, oh, how are we going to eat the rest of this week or month,
That is crazy. I love that though, because like nowadays with social media, like there's this pressure as like a young wife and mom to have like all the snacks be like literally cut into dinosaur shapes and like the strawberries to be all in hearts and every meal to be perfect and it to be healthy and it to be beautiful. And then for young wives, like I'm not knocking on this because I actually take the inspiration, but my brother-in-law and sister-in-law just got married and they literally post their weekly menu. They print out a beautiful menu and it's fancy food, and they'll post their beautiful dinner and their, little mocktail that they made and their appetizer and they'll grate the cheese. I mean, it's like fancy and it's awesome and there's nothing wrong with that. And like I said, I have used some of their recipes and I could do better at that. But sometimes seeing how perfect other people's meals can be and plates can be, it can make you feel like, oh man, like what's my hot dog? Like what's my Little Caesars pizza? Right. But sometimes like you're just in the position in life where ramen noodles are just gonna have to do. I mean, for this season of my life, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is a great dinner.
That's right. Yeah.
Cereal is just fine.
That's right.
And so I just think that like sometimes because we see everybody else's life, ours all of a sudden doesn't look like enough. But man, like seasons come and seasons go, and some look different than others, and there.
And looking back on that period, I mean, it's such fun memories. Like thinking about that, how we were just like, trying to make all the pieces fit together to make our budget and everything. And we didn't have that. And I do think that is a harder, on this generation, because you are seeing other people's lives and in a way that is very edited and that looks like, oh, they have it all together. I was actually talking about that this morning with a friend about how it's like, she was saying how she, at the end of last year, her house, she was doing a good job of like keeping her house clean and cooking good meals and all that. Well, then the new year started and she decided she wanted to watch what she's eating and start exercising and all that. So she's doing that now, but the house is not as clean because she's just like, there's always feels like there's something has to give.
And that's the thing, even with my brother and sister-in-law, they're in a time right now where they can do that because it's off season. When he plays baseball and they're traveling all over, then they're going to have to adjust, and they will. But this is a fun time for them and they're enjoying it. And for us, like we were talking the other day because Christian said I wasn't very cute and cuddly with our dog. And I said, okay, whoa.
I was there for that and you got so offended.
I used to be cute and cuddly with our dog until we had a baby.
Right.
And now I'm cute and cuddly with our baby.
Right.
And so, there's just a time for everything.
Yes.
And I mean, like even during pregnancy, I didn't go to the gym for the first 4 months of this pregnancy because I was so sick. Yeah. Now I feel better, so I'm going to the gym. And so you just like...
But if you look at social media, it can feel like
everybody's doing everything
and keeping it all together perfectly.
And they're not.
And it's not.
Everybody has to give on something in the time that they're in. Yeah. And so I just, that was a time of y'all's life that's really fun to look back on. Yeah. Now, obviously that's not what your life looks like, but you can look back and be like, well, look how much we grew and learned. Yeah. One thing I love about, and I want to end on this because I think this is so beautiful, is y'all were broke, but y'all had fun. Y'all were broke, but y'all were still hospitable. Yeah. And I think that a lot of people think, okay, well, I can't have fun. I can't be hospitable because I don't have anything.
Yeah.
How could I invite people to my house and my house is not cool? How could I, have fun and go do all the things if I don't have any money? And a lot of people in college are in that time right now. So how did y'all continue to be hospitable and have fun when you were broke?
I think that's a great question because, we did. We had grown up in hospitable families where, people came over and all that. So we wanted to continue that. And so we did. We were the married couple at college. So we were the ones that people came to our house and all that. And I'll never forget the first. So our first apartment was, like I said, it was tiny. It was 1 bedroom. The washer and dryer were like stacked on top of each other in the bathroom. The kitchen was right here to where, like, when you took a shower, the steam from the shower made the kitchen smoke alarm go off.
No.
And so you had to, like, unplug this kitchen smoke alarm to the fire, so you wouldn't let the smoke alarm go off every time. And then, but I remember we invited friends over and we made spaghetti because spaghetti, I mean, hey, you can make a big pot of spaghetti and it can feed a lot of people. Invited some friends to come over and make spaghetti, but I didn't have any idea, like, how many noodles do you make for how many people? So I just was like, okay, noodles are cheap. I'm just going to make a lot. We had so many spaghetti noodles left. And so Willie, your daddy, started like throwing noodles at me, while the friends were over.
And he still does this.
Just for fun, for fun. And it became this whole big spaghetti fight in our apartment. And we had noodles on the ceiling. We had noodles everywhere. And then when we moved out of that apartment and moved our couch, we still had like dried spaghetti noodles behind the couch.
Great.
It was so fun and such a fun memory. So fun. But we would do, we'd do the parties at our house, the holiday parties or whatever. People would come over and everyone bring a little something. It was like Rotel cheese dip and hot dogs. But we, had people over and
and
just
people
made
don't
it fun.
care.
They don't care.
Like, they do not care. I remember whenever I had 2 roommates and I invited a bunch of our friends over and I was running late that morning, and I remember Lainey was like, how are you going to get all this ready? And I was like, well, I'm probably just not, but I'm going to make pancakes and I'm going to put out some toppings. And she was like, oh my gosh, I could have never done that because our house is so messy and like, you're just making like pancakes. And we had so much fun. And later she was like, oh, that was actually so cool. And, people don't really care about what your house looks like, but they care about being together.
That's
and
right.
everybody, when they're sitting at home feeling lonely, isn't like, I just want a perfect house to walk into that is completely organized. No, they're like, I just want people around me.
That's right.
And so,
and it actually makes you feel better whenever things aren't all done. And
you're like, relatable.
Invite people over and give them a job when they get there. People always are like, what can I do? You don't have to have everything done when everybody gets there. They can help make the pancakes or help do whatever.
And let them help.
Yeah. People enjoy
nice.
that and want to be a part of that. I think it's so good. I think that we put too much pressure on ourselves, and that's another part of kind of this age. Everything looks like it's perfect or whatever, but no one really cares about that or wants that or expects it. Just
because everybody knows that's not real.
And that actually goes to even inviting people into your home or apartment or dorm room or whatever, but just inviting people to stuff. I had that conversation with one of our kids the other day, because I was like, our son Will has moved away and he's living in Texas now and he's loving what he's doing and is doing great, and I was like, you have to like invite people. If you're home alone at night and you don't have anything to do, text somebody. Text somebody to come over and play video games with you or meet them. Wherever Dave and Buster's or whatever. But like you have to invite. I think so many times we sit around and be like, oh, nobody's inviting me to anything and I don't have anything to do. And it might just mean you need to invite somebody. I got invited to something last night and I went and I was so happy. Like last night, a friend, Steph texted me yesterday and was like, hey, I'm going to spin at 5:45. Do you want to go? And I did not have plans to go into spin. I've not been in 4 years since 2020 happened to spin. And she's like, hey, I'm going at 5:45. You want to come? And I was like, yes, I actually do.
It feels good to be invited.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
So
so invite somebody to something.
Tell this story that the first year that we lived here, remember, I was like, no one's invited us to anything. I was just throwing myself such a pity party. And, I was like, and my friends have a Bible study and they never even invited us. And why would they not invite us? And then I was like, oh, why don't I invite them? Why don't I start a Bible study? Why don't I do something? And it's just like, when you have that epiphany, it's like, I can do this. I have a phone. I can text them and say, can you come over? And now we're great friends.
Yeah.
And,
and if someone says no because they can't, don't take it personally.
It goes back to that contentment.
Just wait invite somebody else or try
that
again
contentment
next
and that
week.
confidence.
Yeah.
I'm such an over-inviter, and I always tell my friends, I will always invite you to everything, and you will never offend me if you say no.
Right.
Because I just always
good.
think it feels better to be invited than to
Yeah.
not, you know? Y'all did also get to go study abroad whenever y'all were married. And some of y'all's cheap moments there cracked me up, because did y'all sleep on the train?
Yeah, so that was one of the greatest blessings. Mom and Dad, you know, helped us to be able to do that. So we spent a semester in Italy, in Florence, Italy, for a school program that Harding has. And you actually live like in this villa. You take all your classes there. And the way they do it is like you take classes like 4 days a week, and then the other 3 days you get to just travel.
So cool.
And so as part of the kind of the deal, you buy like a Eurail package, which the Eurail is the train that takes you all over Europe. And so we had that, but we didn't have money for hotel rooms or anything like that. So we decided we would just sleep on the train. And so, because we had the pass, so we would plan a trip to where like we could get on the train at night, we could sleep on the train in the chairs or whatever, and then wake up in a new country. And it was amazing. Like you just go to sleep on the train, wake up in Spain or whatever. But we're literally sleeping in chairs, you know, and on this train. And there was one time where there were like, you know, people on the train trying to steal stuff, and they were like opening our thing, and Dad starts like chasing them down the train like a movie. I'm like,
no,
what are you gonna do if you catch them? Like, no, come back. But luckily they dropped the backpack and did not.
Oh, they stole your backpack?
No, it was a friend of ours that was in the little room with us. They opened the door, grabbed a friend's backpack.
Oh my gosh.
And Dad like jumps up and starts chasing them through the train.
Dad.
And I'm going like, what are you gonna, we're on it, what are you gonna do? Like, you're gonna have a fight and throw them off the train? I don't know. So anyway, luckily in the chase, they dropped the backpack, and so all was well.
Oh my gosh.
So he slept the rest of the night with his feet up on the door of the little train car so that no one else would come in. But yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it was so much fun. It's just the most fun memories of trying to kind of like,
I love it,
figure it out whenever you don't have a lot, you know?
I love it.
And we stayed in youth hostels that had like a little shower. There was like a bathroom that everyone shared, and there would be a shower. And there's one I remember, you put like, not quarters, but whatever the coins were at that time, the euros now, but whatever it was at the time, you put that in, and it like gave you like 2 minutes on your shower.
Wow,
and the water pressure would come out. Yeah.
Quick shower.
So fun. Yeah.
That's awesome. Y'all had so many fun memories from that. And I've always loved those memories, to hear all the stories that you and Dad did on the train and with your friends and all the different things that y'all did in college. Also,
not to say that our life during that time was perfect. We definitely, we were very young and got married. So we fought, and we played hard and fought hard and all the things during that period too. So
we'll have to have another whole episode of that. The jealousy, the learning how to let each other do what they want to do without controlling their schedule. All the things that you've also taught us from your college years that I'm sure we could all learn from. Anybody ever been jealous in a relationship or ever wanted to control your partner's schedule? Yes, so we can talk about that too, and they live through that, and that's so good. I also love, just last note, that you majored in art and thought you'd be an art teacher. And I just think it's so cool that, you know, that was something you're super passionate about. And still, you know, when you draw for your grandkids, I'm like, how did you just draw that horse without looking at a sketch? You know, like, you just do it. And, you know, there's been different times in your life that has popped up. But ultimately, that's not what you did. You know, now you and Dad run Duck Commander, run a TV show. You know, you run Tread Lively and a production company and all these different things. Your production company puts on this podcast. Probably nobody really knows that. You do a million different things. And I think that sometimes in college, we can just put so much pressure on ourselves that, like, this is it. Every decision, it's so huge, you know, and if we miss it, then what if we miss the call of God in our life? Or what if we miss what God's going to do? Or what if we miss the door that we're supposed to run through? And I just want to just remind you, friends, like, you're not going to miss it.
Nope.
You cannot miss it if you're following the Lord and if you're waking up and just doing, you know, and doing for His glory. I love too, Mama posted the other day, she's like, you know, so many people are like, I'm gonna miss the call of God, or what if I'm not doing what God called me to do? She's like, well, what if you're doing whatever you're doing for the glory of God, then you're doing what He called you to do.
That's right.
You know, whether that is being a cashier, whether that is being an art teacher, whether that is, you know, having a podcast, or being a lawyer or teacher, or whatever you're doing. And so you know, yes, decisions matter. And yes, your work matters. This is not for waste. This definitely matters. But don't put so much pressure on yourself that what you decide now is going to completely, you know, determine the rest of your life. Because yes, it will shape your life, but it's not going to be like the end all be all. I mean, God can still do so much. And I think your willingness to dive in for 4 years and work hard and study hard, yes, it will lead you down a great path, but it's not the end all be all. You know, one decision isn't going to mess up your entire life, especially if it's one made, whether I'm going to be a teacher or I'm going to be a nurse, you know, you can't mess it up, friend. And so, no pressure there. I know in this time you can have so much fear of what the future will hold, and the future's scary because it's unknown, and fear is the unknown. You know, fear is the thing, literally by definition. It's believing that something could be a potential threat, you know? So it's believing something could happen in the future. And, you know, mom had a scary moment where they broke up. She could have thought, we're broke up forever. I'm going to be single forever. You know, what if I choose this and that leads me this way or that way? But God's got your future and God's got you now. And so I hope this is encouraging to you. Look at the people around you in your life. How can you steward those friendships well? How can you use what you have, even if it's not much, to have fun and to host well? How can you work towards growing in your relationship, maybe restructuring some things to have a better future? Just some of the things that we can take away from today. And where are you that you actually need to water the ground you're at? What seeds have you thrown in the ground that you need to take some time to intentionally water and see grow? So we'll have to have you back on for some of those harder conversations, but this was a great start to
You know where to
year.
find me. I'm in.
I know. I guess I'll just call you. Well, have a great week, everybody.